XRP trillions confirmed. That's going to be the title of this video because now we have it confirmed from David Schwartz, Brad Garlinghouse, and the team at Ripple that they've made a massive acquisition, one of the largest acquisitions in the history of crypto, and the only crypto company to actually buy a prime brokerage firm. This is the most recent acquisition from Ripple, and we're going to be talking about just a portion of the $3 trillion per year that this prime broker settles, moving to the XRP ledger. We're going to be looking at the math and what this might mean for XRP's price. So please lock in. I know that the market's down a little bit. We're not paying attention to that. Unless you need to accumulate some more, take advantage of it. But in the meantime, we're going to focus on the fundamentals. It couldn't get better. Stay with us. Here we go. Scott Bessent says that Wall Street has grown wealthier for 4 decades. For the next 4 years, it's Main Street's turn. The Trump administration was not lying about not watching the stock market. Wall Street is not a priority right now. It's Main Street. It's middle class, low income. It is the heartland of America that is going to start winning once again. And by the way, if you're positioned correctly in Wall Street, you're going to do just fine too, because we're going to talk about the first of its kind XRP ETF went live yesterday, and it was an overwhelming success. We're going to show you that one here in just 1 second. Scott Bessent speaking today. Take a listen to this. This is at the American Bankers Association.
We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems. And we will consider reforms to unleash the awesome power of the American capital markets. Americans deserve a financial services industry that works for all Americans, including and especially Main Street. Under President Trump's leadership, the Treasury Department and I will deliver that to you. Thank you.
And you hear him mention Main Street again. This is a term, and I've been talking about this divide between Wall Street and Main Street and how bad it was. While Wall Street was having the time of their lives, propped up on cheap money, Main Street was suffering, paying the consequences with record high inflation. That has changed, and we need to embrace it. Short-term pain might be experienced, but it's going to be a massive long-term boom into a golden age that is lining up here perfectly for us. Now, honing in on XRP, let's get into it, folks. Nate Garassi, big ETF expert, and he's got an interview here with Tia Cream's CEO, Gilberty Sal, speaking on the XRP ETF that went live yesterday. How was the first day of trading? Massive success. Take a listen.
You did just launch the first XRP ETF in the US. I'm just curious, how did day one go? I know there's still a little bit of time until market close here as we record this, but what have you seen thus far?
A terrific response. There was overwhelming excitement. I think a lot because we were overlooked. I mean, we made our filing and it was largely ignored. We were the only people to file with a ticker. And for whatever reason, it just was passed over, and it kind of took people by surprise. We filed as soon as we could after the old SEC regime left, and the 75 days effectiveness took place on Saturday. So we seeded yesterday, which was Monday, and launched today. I think it's almost at a couple 100,000 shares. It's been a terrific, very successful launch. Our most successful launch day to date for any fund we've ever done.
Overwhelming excitement, the most successful fund we've ever launched. I told you that the suits were going to be ready to sell this in 589 different ways. Sometimes the suits show up in Patagonia vests, which is what we got right here. And what's really notable right here, this is a retweet from me of Eric Balchunas talking about the success of this ETF, seeing 5 million in volume on day one. Very respectable, especially considering the market conditions. That puts it in approximately the top 5% of new ETF launches and about 4x what the 2x Solana ETF did, although both are 200 times less than the King IBIT. That's from BlackRock. The spot Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock was the best and most successful ETF launch ever. But the reason why this is so respectable is because we're, considering that this is a 2x long ETF that is launched during the middle of a global margin call. So the world's falling apart, global margin call, and the only XRP ETF option that you have is a 2x long one, which, I think might play out well. But just wait for the spot ETFs. I think that they will give the BlackRock IBIT ETF a run for its money. And in fact, I expect it to be BlackRock that has the most successful XRP ETF. And I say that today, while we don't have any S1 filing, BlackRock flirting a little bit, Larry Fink telling Charlie Gasparino he can't talk about an XRP ETF. Why couldn't he talk about it? If they weren't going to do it, it would just be a no. Charlie, no, we're not interested in XRP. But they are. That's why they can't talk about it, because they're getting ready to roll out what will be the most successful XRP ETF, in my opinion, and the biggest. But considering the fact that we launch a 2x long XRP ETF in the middle of a global margin call, and it's the fund's most successful fund that they've ever launched, overwhelming excitement, and this is all while the markets are down and it's just crazy out here, right? So very respectable, and this is just the first of many on the way. You got leveraged XRP ETFs. The big ones are going to be the spot XRP ETFs. It's all coming. It's all lining up. And we're talking about massive amounts of liquidity coming into XRP. And we're going to talk about what these inflows are going to do for XRP's price. $20, $30, $40 XRP with ease. We'll be talking about that shortly. 230 million XRP on the move. You're just seeing massive whale transfers. It's just been nonstop. And this is Ripple, probably institutional partners, just moving around big chunks of XRP and big flows. And that's going to need to happen here, because now with this acquisition of Hidden Road, we're going to be looking at a portion of their $10 billion daily volume, a portion of their $3 trillion on a yearly basis coming to the XRP ledger. David Schwartz responding to the acquisition that was announced yesterday, $1.25 billion acquisition by Ripple. So this is a defining moment for the XRP ledger and XRP. The prime broker clears upwards of 10 billion daily and processes over 50 million transactions per day on various traditional rails, waiting up to 24 hours for those transactions to settle. Now imagine even a portion of that activity on the XRP ledger, and that's exactly what Hidden Road plans on doing. Not to mention future use of collateral and real-world assets tokenized on the XRP ledger. So RLUSD will be the collateral, that will be the fiat choice. And then obviously RLUSD settling on the XRP ledger as well. So every one of those transactions will be using XRP. But I wanted to run through the numbers with everybody this morning. And so I retweeted David Schwartz and I said, let's run through the math. I have long talked about how XRP would just need to see a portion of these institutional liquidity flows for us to see a significant price increase. Now we have it confirmed that Ripple's new acquisition of Hidden Road will be bringing that portion of their 10 billion daily liquidity to the XRP ledger. Let's run with conservative assumptions and then have some fun. Winky face. Let's look at what 10%, 30%, and 50% of these flows from Hidden Road coming to the XRP ledger would equate to. So let's just assume 10% of this volume. So 1 billion daily comes to the XRP ledger. That's over 300 billion per year. Now, I forgot to put it into this post for context. It took Ripple nearly a decade to achieve 70 billion of liquidity payment flows through their solutions, including the XRP ledger, on-demand liquidity, and including their other payment options that didn't use XRP. Cumulatively, it equates to 70 billion that Ripple has settled so far in about a decade. So in one decade, it took Ripple that long to achieve 70 billion. Now they've made an acquisition that does 10 billion daily. And so we're going to run with assumptions of just a portion of that liquidity coming to the XRP ledger. And so if just 10% or 1 billion of that flow is coming to the XRP ledger, in 70 days, they will have achieved what it took them 10 years to do. That's what we call a quantum leap forward. Massive acquisition here by Ripple. 1 billion daily equates to over 300 billion per year. 3 billion daily equates to 900 billion to almost $1 trillion per year on the XRP ledger. And that would just be 30% of these flows. Let's run with the assumption that we get half of the flow. 5 billion daily equates to over $1.5 trillion per year. And I say, remember when they called us crazy for saying that trillions would settle on the XRP ledger? Now we know it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but just a guessing game of when we hit these numbers. You can run with more conservative assumptions if you want. You can run with more bullish assumptions if you want. Either way, we're speculating on when we will finally hit that milestone of trillions of dollars of liquidity having been settled on the XRP ledger. Now, when we match up, so you have a couple different metrics that we look at here. You have market cap, which really all it does is give you a snapshot in time at how much value is in an asset, right? So XRP's market cap right now is a little over 100 billion. Very small, very minute. And we just made an acquisition of a company that does 3 trillion per year of volume, 10 billion daily. Right? So you're going to see how quickly this is going to move. So we have market cap, which just gives us a snapshot of the value of the asset. We have liquidity value, which is when we look at a firm like Hidden Road, the liquidity value of their network is 10 billion on a daily basis. It is 3 trillion on a yearly basis. That's a big liquidity value. And when you go to determine, that liquidity value, you have to ask the question, how much XRP is available for this liquidity? How much XRP is available to settle that 10 billion on a daily basis? Or if it's just a portion of it, that billion, that 5 billion on a daily basis. How much XRP has Ripple set aside to settle that liquidity? That's going to determine how and what's the price of XRP at. So you have the supply of XRP times the price. That's what's going to be used to determine how much XRP we need because of what the XRP price is at to settle that amount of volume. Now, the other metric that I've come up with is market cap multiplier, which determines how much can an asset grow or fall based off of the net inflows or outflows into an asset. So there's a couple different metrics, but we put all this together and it tells us that it's time to get bullish and it's time to stay locked in with us and not be distracted by today's price action. Okay. But I'm going to run you through just a couple examples and we're going to show you how fun this could get. Remember, if we just get a portion of this liquidity from Hidden Road, right? 5 billion daily would equate to 1.5 trillion being settled on the XRP ledger in 1 year. Now you combine that with the inflows that we're going to see from the ETFs, that's going to be supplemental to this liquidity value that's being settled on Hidden Road. So this is not, this is not something that basically we need to add this together. The liquidity value of what's being settled on Hidden Road with the inflows that we're going to see from the ETFs. Okay, and remember, JP Morgan predicts 4 to 8 billion of inflows. Yesterday, I covered it in the live show. Standard Charter is predicting XRP to $12.50 by 2028. They're looking at the same numbers that I am, that JP Morgan is reporting on, 4 to 8 billion of inflows. What's that going to do to XRP's price? It's going to move it big time. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. On April 6th, just a few days ago, we're looking at a 4-hour window where we had 76 million of net inflows, 76 million of net outflows. People were selling XRP. 76 million of net outflows led to 12 billion of market cap loss. That's a 156x market cap multiplier on the way down. On April 7th, the next day, we bounced back up. In a 4-hour window, we have 27.65 million of net inflows, which equates to 15 billion of market cap growth. That is a market cap multiplier of 542x. Here's April 6th, 12 billion of market cap loss, but we only had 76 million of outflows. What we're demonstrating here is that it is clearly not a 1-to-1 ratio. On the flip side, the next day, we bounce up here in this 4-hour window by 15 billion of market cap growth off of only 27 million of net inflows. That's a market cap multiplier of 542. You want a better example? You want another one? I got a good one right here for you. This is when Trump tweeted out or posted on Truth Social about XRP being in the reserve. This is on March 2nd, 2025 at 10:24 a.m. Eastern. I tracked 12 hours of inflows. It equates to 92 million total. Basically, we took these 4-hour candles, these 4-hour windows, and I took 3 of them. So I added up 12 hours of net inflows, which were 92 million, and it equated to 44 billion of market cap growth. XRP went from like $2.20 to $3. It was like an 80-cent price bump, but a 44 billion market cap growth. That's a 478x market cap multiplier. What we are demonstrating is that it will not take $1 trillion coming into XRP for XRP to go to $1 trillion market cap. I hope that that is very, very clear for everybody out here. The market cap bros, the TradeFi bros that are trying to wrap their minds around how could XRP, they can't believe that XRP almost hit a 200 billion market cap. Just wait till we hit a 2 trillion market cap. And I'm going to show you right here how easy the numbers are. Once again, we start conservative and then we have a little bit of fun. JP Morgan predicts 4 to 8 billion of inflows. I'm going to run with 5 billion. 5 billion of inflows. If the market cap multiplier is 50, that's the market cap growing by 250 billion. That's XRP doubling up. That's XRP approaching, $7-8. This is where Standard Charter is staying very conservative with their predictions. They say $8 by next year. 5 billion inflows. If the multiplier is 100, that would be 500 billion of market cap growth. That's over a $10 XRP, 10 to 12 bucks. That's where Standard Charter is dialed in and staying conservative. Their timeline is out a few years. I think that timeline gets collapsed through the ETFs and acquisitions and liquidity values of billions of dollars on a daily basis of hidden road moving to the XRP ledger. Remember, 5 billion inflows. If the market cap multiplier is 200, that's 1 trillion of market cap growth. That's a $17 to $18 XRP, assuming we're at 60 billion tokens. 5 billion inflows. If the multiplier is 500, that's $2.5 trillion for XRP's market cap. That's over a $40 XRP. So when I look at these numbers, you keep it conservative, you get bullish. Either way you look at it, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we see trillions coming and settled on the XRP ledger. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when XRP hits 20, 30, 40, $50 XRP. I don't care about XRP's price today. Spare yourself the time. Don't talk to me about price today. I don't need your bad attitude about today's price action. That's not what we're talking about today. It's time to lock in and look at this math. And if you're smarter than me, which many of you are, you can play around with it yourself. And what you're going to see, you stay conservative with it, we still confirm trillions coming. We still confirm XRP going to a much higher price. You get bullish with it, you get a little excited, well, we start to have some real fun. It is not unreasonable to be talking about trillions coming to the XRP ledger, and it is not unreasonable to be talking about a $20, $30, $40 XRP price over the next 5 to 10 years. That timeline collapses with acquisitions made like the one we saw yesterday. See, the timeline just got shorter. The dominoes are falling, and this timeline collapses every single time that happens. Nobody else is positioned better than Ripple. XRP remains to be one of the best opportunities out there. And when I look across the board, we're just stacking utilities based in America that are going to shine and going to explode when this market reverses out of this correction. Are there some things that I'm bearish on? 100%. Are there some things that I'm very excited about? Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's why we stay locked in. That's why we stay focused on the fundamentals. And I hope that you're staying locked in with us. Make sure we like this video on the way out. If you're new here, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. We will be back live tomorrow, Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm interviewing Waters Above on Friday. Let me know who else you want me to interview. Let me know what other coins you want me to take a look at. And we're going to provide those updates for you guys. Our weekly call every Saturday for our Discord group is a way to get tapped in with us as well. I appreciate your support. I'll see you in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.